Welcome to the Starter Girls podcast, the show dedicated to the Starter Girl. She's an achiever, she's a creator, she's a magic maker, she's a dreamer, and she is doing all the things. I'm your host, Jennifer Loading, and welcome to this episode. All right, so here we are. Welcome to another episode of the Starter Girls podcast. And I'm so excited today. I've got a fabulous guest on the show today. She's awesome. She is a power team. She and her husband, they are a duo of Engler Enterprise Real Estate. And I think what's so cool about them is that they have done over 9 million in 3 years. But here's the thing, their story is so incredible. And we featured her husband on Behind the Dreamers, told his story a little bit about his background. But Hannah Engler also has an incredible story, and she's done some amazing things with, in this team. And so I want to welcome her to the show. Welcome, Hannah. I was so excited to have you here today.
Hi, I'm so excited.
It's going to be so much fun. And you are so cute, by the way. I just wanted to mention that. You are so cute. Thank you. I love it. So I want to talk about, because just to give our audience a little bit of knowledge about you guys, because I know we told, your husband's story on the other show, and I like to cross promote these shows because we tell the story on the other one. And this one we get on and we really talk about topics that are relevant to the female creator and the achiever. And I say the magic maker. She's the starter girl. These are the women that are doing it all. They're moms, they're business women, and they're just making things happen, right? But we want them to know a little bit about you. So maybe tell our audience a little bit about your story and kind of what you're doing now.
So I want to start off by saying I grew up in LJ, a really small town in North Georgia. And, I have all my family's from there. I had a great large family as a kid, but we didn't really have much money. So I really wasn't taught anything about the business world at all. My grandpa did real estate, but he didn't really talk about it. And so I just didn't really know anything about it. So anyways, me and Cameron met when we were really young. Of course, when you're that young, people don't think you're going to last forever. We literally met when he was like 13 and I was 15. So we started dating. I got pregnant in high school before my senior year, before I graduated. I stayed in school, graduated, had my son that August. And then I just didn't really know what to do. I kind of felt, I don't know, like I have a kid now. And so I have to figure it out. I even had a teacher actually tell me, your life is over. Yeah, very motivating. But anyways, I didn't let that bother me. I was like, whatever, that's just your opinion. So I started working at a local daycare, great people. I knew them really well. So I worked there for a couple of years, but it just really wasn't, it was minimum wage. It just wasn't enough money. So I eventually applied for college. That didn't end up working out. So I didn't go that route. So I just I felt kind of stuck. I didn't really know what to do. I was like, I guess I kind of use the excuse in my head to make myself feel better. Well, I have a kid, so I can't really do anything else. But that's not true for anybody that has any circumstances, like you had a kid young, you grew up poor, anything like that. I mean, I don't think that should be holding you back. But anyway, so I just finally realized I got to try something else. So I quit the daycare and I tried insurance sales because my mom actually does that. That was very not for me. So I was in the sales thing and I was trying to figure out what to do, and I didn't like insurance anymore. So I kind of got out of that. And then I had my daughter, and after I had her, I'm sure other women can relate. It was just a hard time mentally trying to feel like myself. I had no career going for me. I was just kind of a stay-at-home mom at that time. So I just had no motivation, and I just kind of felt pretty down. And then Cameron, I saw him doing great in real estate, which I was so thankful for since I wasn't doing anything at the time. But it really motivated me to say, like, I know I can do this too if he's doing it. So that's when I got into real estate, and we decided, let's be a team and work together. And I learned a lot from him, before I even started, kind of to help me. So anyways, we started working together, but over the course of like having Raina, my daughter, my youngest, I wanted to get out of that funk I was in. That I was in for a good year and a half. So I kind of just pushed myself to get out into the real estate world, which was very scary at first. So
yeah, no, this is good. This is good. And, and I encourage the people, anybody listening to this episode, you're going to want to jump over to Behind the Dreamers to hear this story, Cameron's story of how this all got started, because that is just a powerful episode in itself. I mean, I just had so much fun chatting with him and hearing that, you guys being in the position that you were in, and it would have been so easy for you as a mom, because not to just have to deal with the fact of motherhood and the postpartum, stuff that goes on with motherhood. I know I have kiddos, so I absolutely can, like I said, I never like to say I know how everybody feels, but I can say I can resonate and empathize with you, because I know what that's like to be a mom with the new kids. And also, I was listening to you when you said just, being a stay-at-home mom. I've been a stay-at-home mom. I know how that is too, especially if you're, there's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom. And I don't want anybody listening to this ever think there's anything wrong with that. But I think when you're a driven person internally and you want to try to do something, it's so hard to just sit in your space and not feel like you're valued and you're not using your potential. There's like this constant struggle, right? And I don't know about you as a mother, I felt this constant struggle of, do I stay with my kid and be the mother? But I need me. I need my thing, And so, like you, I kind of went through a little bit of that when my first child was born. She's 26 now, so she's big kid, married. I went through a little bit of that in the very beginning because I had always worked, and then I stayed home with her, that lasted for about 18 months. And then I went into teaching aerobics, and then I got into the network marketing space and stayed with that same company for 22 years. So I can understand, when you're saying that you guys have done incredible work, in the time that you've done this. And that's what I think is so impressive, is where you came from and how you switched that. And you guys did this as a team together. I think that's what's so awesome. So what I want to ask you about is, let's talk about the mindset on this a little bit, because I know when I was talking to Cameron on his episode, we were talking about how, like, we're the common denominator, right? Like, it's always about what we believe, right? What we believe, what we think. And I go as so far to say, when I'm working with my people, that, it's about what we believe about ourselves, what we believe about people, and what we believe about life. We play that out every single day, right? So talk to us about that. Tell us a little about, what was the shift for you? What did you have to do to make that shift?
So I'll be honest, like I said before, like when I was pretty much a stay-at-home mom and I had that urge to just do something more, I just kind of had to look into, like, why was I feeling like I knew I could do something more, but I also was kind of like down on myself a little, which I think was part of the hormones too. But I was just like, I was kind of doubting myself. So I actually just started, honestly, meditating every day, doing more affirmations. And that really helped me a lot, almost like, not like Buddhist style meditation, but I just would kind of sit and just tell myself, you can do this. And it really helped my mindset grow. And I just had to kind of reprogram the way I was thinking, because I grew up, like I said, not a lot of money. I didn't even know where to start with getting the right mindset at first. So me and Cameron kind of together, he did it a little bit before me, but we kind of just studied. I even looked up stuff on YouTube at one point, like, how to help change your mindset. And I read some stuff online, and I just kind of had to look online and dig deep within myself and kind of say, why are you thinking that you can't do this? I kind of had to dig myself out of the rut. And really, when I started taking the real estate course to pass the test, I had to really study really hard and stay focused. And it's hard to do when you have a kid at home, but I did it. And I think it really helped my confidence passing that test. And it really changed everything for me. But as far as the mindset, I really just had to spend time with myself and just think more positively about myself, really.
So a couple of things about this. I think what I'm hearing from you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you took an action step. If we were gonna tell anybody right now how to change your funk, right? Get out of your funk and because I'm I don't know if you're probably, I'm like a very problem oriented kind of person. Like I like to like have solutions. So like if I'm going to tell somebody right now, like, what is the thing you would do? It would be take an action step, right? Like do something, make a move. It's interesting. I want to say something about the meditation, because I studied meditation too. And I actually studied transcendental meditation. You probably heard of it. It's like the big one that all the actors and actors do. And it's funny because I even talk about it in my course. I talk about meditation as a great tool for many reasons. One, for creativity and industriousness, but also for therapy, for help people. When my oldest was going through kind of some mental stuff. I'm not going to divulge all that on here, but she was going through some stuff in her high school year. And I was at the same time going through a health condition. And so I was just a mess because I was dealing with my daughter, but I was also dealing with my health condition. I actually had her go do that with me. We went to do that together. And at that time, for me, it was really about getting us through a really tough time in our lives, getting through the physical pain that I was going through, but also the mental anguish that I was watching her suffer. And I don't know that she even cares about it today, but I've always firmly believed, because it helped me get through. It was one of the many things I did. There were a lot of things I wrote about in my book and a lot of things I talk about in my program that I'm helping other people with, but it is one of the pieces in the puzzle that I talk about. So I love that you even brought that up, because I think it's so powerful for so
Yes.
many reasons.
And I want to say people underestimate it. They think it sounds crazy. And even me, I won't lie. In the beginning, I was like, meditation. I thought of something crazy, but it's really just about, almost having like just a peaceful time and talking to yourself and just getting all the negative thoughts out of your head that are telling you what you shouldn't be listening to,
It just, and it gets you in, it just gets you in tune. And funny enough, Hannah, at that time, because I was on so many medications for this pain, I was telling Cameron earlier when I was talking to him off camera, I hate medicine. And I was on too many medicines at that time, and I was having a lot of inner struggle, but I would go to do meditation. I would fall asleep. Like every time I would do it, I would fall asleep. And I kept telling the instructor that I was learning from, I'm like, dude, every time I do this meditation, I fall asleep. And she would say, your body needs it. That's why you're doing that. You need it right now. And so I'm like, okay, well, I guess every time I go do that, I need to make sure I set my phone, because I'm going to have a little snooze when that happens. And so now I don't do it all the time now, but I do. Sometimes I'll just, have that quiet time. And sometimes it might just be 5 minutes. Sometimes it might be longer, so glad that you brought that up. You also brought up affirmations, which I think is good too, because I talk about that as well. But I think the overall thing I'm hearing from you is really just taking the action step, doing something.
Yep.
In the move. One of the things I've shared this on several stories. I'm writing notes down as you're talking. Back whenever I tell this story back in 2018, and people that have been following me for a while have heard this. Some people it may be new, but I was sitting in this conference and I had done some pretty cool things. I mean, I earned cars in the company that I was in. I set a company record in another car that I was in. I'd overcome this nerve condition, wrote a book. Actually, I hadn't wrote a book about it yet, but I had overcome this nerve condition. The book did come after. But I was sitting in this conference, and, from the outside in, everybody was looking at my family and they're like, okay, your kids are doing okay. Your daughter's better now. Your husband's doing good. He was an endurance athlete and he was doing cool things. And, I was doing cool things at work. But what was crazy is inside I was dying. Like I was internally dying. I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And the speaker had gotten up. I'm going somewhere with this, making a change. That's what I'm going with this. But this speaker had gotten up and she had been working with John Maxwell. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but I love him. And I think they wrote a book together, and she was the #1 leader in our company, the #1 female leader. And she was young. She was like in her 30s and had made $1 million. I mean, she was doing well. And she gets up and she's like, John Maxwell says, if you do these 5 things in your life and you do it for 1 year, your life will never be the same. Well, I was kind of in this space where I was like, okay, what are you going to tell me that I have not already heard from every other guru? I've had 17, at this point, I had 17, 18 years of being in Mary Kay. I had heard a lot of stuff. Like events is Mary Kay's thing, right? But here was the thing. I'm going through this and I'm doing this for my business. So I'm like, okay, I know how to book people. I know how to coach people. I know how to recruit. I know how to close a sale. I know how to market. I know how to do all these things. So I'm like, what is the one thing I'm going to do that's going to be different in my life? And this wasn't business related. I said, I'm going to read. I'm going to start reading, because I hated to read, absolutely hated to read. And so that day I decided to pick up a book, and I did that every day for like a year, every single day for a year. And what was so weird is 2 to 3 months later, I went into a coaching certification to get my and I did that coaching certification, not to get certified to coach, but I did it because I wanted to get healthy as a human. So I did that. That led to networking. That ended up leading to my book. That led to my podcast, led to me forming my LLC. It opened the doors to all these things. The point of that was I made that one change. I made that one change because I recognized in my life that I didn't like where I was sitting, and I knew that I couldn't stay the same.
Yep.
I couldn't envision the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years of me sitting in that same spot and being internally miserable.
Exactly. I can relate.
Makes sense? Is it resonating?
Yes. One change make a huge difference. Definitely.
Yeah. And I think so many times as women, even as moms, sometimes we get in those spaces because we're struggling to have our identity and to be something, right? But we want to be good for our kids too. We want to be strong.
Mhm.
And as I've said, I think that as women, when we focus on being healthy, right? And that starts with that mindset and changing, then we show up better to our kids and our families.
Yes. Yep. I agree with that 100%. I think this is, some people don't agree, but I think what you're consuming and putting in your body and even what you're not doing is affecting your daily habits, is affecting everything that's happening to you. Like if you're drinking every weekend or every day, it is going to affect you. You're not going to get as much done. You're not going to even have a good mindset because it's going to, like, even there for a while, like when I first started real estate, we'd go out for lunch and get some drinks and it felt very harmless. And it kind of became a habit, you know? And I realized I started feeling like crap and didn't want to do anything. And it was even starting to affect my mindset, like just eating unhealthy all the time and going out and having drinks. Like I realized that needs to be not something I do frequently. And I need to be healthier so that I can think better.
Yeah.
So even that one change with your lifestyle makes such a difference in everything you do every day, everything you get done, and your success. I think it really matters.
Yeah. Well, and I know you and I've just met, but I talk about this all the time. So you just hit it. Bam. I was like, mic drop. Yes. Yes. Everything you do is connected. Everything you do day in, day out. The time you get up, the time you go to bed, the people you talk to, what you listen to, what you eat, how you sleep, all of it is connected. Everything. And so that's what I say when there's chaos going in our life, the conditions are favorable. It's not one thing that's causing the chaos. There are all these factors that are coming in. And so what I always tell people, and I've learned this from a mentor, how you do one thing is how you do all things. I go so far to say is how you show up here is how you show up there. And so however you conduct your personal life is how you operate your business. And if you're implementing healthy strategies in your personal, you're going to carry the healthy strategies into your business. Bam.
Amen.
And this is why you guys are doing such incredible things. I love it. You might make my day.
Because I think a lot of people fail to realize, especially some of the like much older generation, they think, even like my dad, for example, or people that I've talked to before that don't, the mindset stuff, they're like, what are you talking about? Like they would just they think all that stuff has nothing to do with it, but actually it does. And your mindset has to be a certain way for you to do really, anything. Like you have to have a good mindset. If you're sitting around and you're just, feeling horrible every day, how are you going to get great things done? How are you going to motivate others, first of all? So taking care of yourself matters, and it's going to affect your productivity.
Mm-hmm. And one thing sort of leads to another, so like, and maybe you can offer, like that'll be a question I want to bring up in a minute, but I always think that people, the reason that they fail at so much at trying to implement these healthy strategies, whatever that is, it may be that it's in the business. It may be, here we're starting in the personal side, whatever that is. But I think so often people try to take on too many changes at one time. Like they try to say, now I've got the mindset to make the change. Let me do this and this and this and this and this. And then they get overwhelmed because, well, there's a lot to that, but they get overwhelmed because they're not doing these things already in their life. And now they're trying to combat all these limiting beliefs that that are attached to this, right? And trying to make all these changes. Would you not agree?
I do agree. I agree 100%. And then another thing I meant to say earlier, I think also the people you have around you, that is so important. If there's people putting you down constantly and saying, you're crazy for what you're trying to do, like, there's no way. That is not healthy for your mindset. Like, even though they're wrong, you don't need to have people around like that because they do not want you to succeed. Right. They're not friends if they're putting you down. Friends would motivate you or would support you. So I think people wonder sometimes, why am I not going somewhere, even though they're trying kind of hard, but then they're not really changing who they're hanging around. Not to sound bad, but sometimes that is what it is people they're hanging around.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they always say, like, what is it? You are like the 5 most people that you hang around.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's funny because sometimes I'll go on Twitter, and not to get on like any, pro this or pro that, but you'll see people that'll say like, like you can't help being overweight or whatever. And then you think, well, who are you hanging around with? Because if you're hanging around a bunch of people that eat bad and they don't do anything healthy, you're probably going to be following in those same patterns. But if you're hanging around people that choose to make different choices, you're probably going to behave accordingly. And I'm not saying that doesn't take into account, conditions or things like
Of
that.
course,
I'm just
yeah.
saying lifestyle, we do make the choices based on typically the people that we're hanging around. So I think you touched upon something great there with that. So maybe what I'd like to know then is maybe for somebody who is, because we talked a lot about like changing the mindset and really starting, making that action, maybe in business, since this is what you guys, you guys are doing really, really well. What would be in your mind, maybe one thing somebody could do to just maybe start making a change?
You mean in business?
Yeah, maybe in business. Let's go with that, because you guys are doing really, I just think you guys are doing incredible.
I think the main thing that's going to help you in business is try to stand out and don't be afraid to go talk to people, because there's so many businesses out there and there's so many people out there. So you want to try to make yourself, you got to kind of take a risk. I know sometimes, especially this day and age, a lot of people just are used to being on their phone. They don't meet up as much. Like Zoom is common now. Texting, calling is the most common thing. So it can feel awkward, like trying to get out there and put yourself out there. And even on social media, you can still put yourself out there. I think you need to try to market yourself, be consistent marketing yourself, try to be different, or just be yourself. I think that's going to set you apart. And if you're starting a business, just don't be afraid to be who you are and keep putting it out there over and over and over and over again. Don't listen to any negativity. That's the best thing that's helped us.
Yeah. Well, I really like that you guys are continuing to learn and attempting to evolve and just, I love your energy. I think that's fun. I think you and Cameron kind of balance each other out. So I think it's a really good thing for you guys. You bring different skills.
We are different.
Hey, well, my husband and I are too. So I get it. I'm married to a chemical engineer. So I totally get it. I get it. I always tell people it's like sugar and spice, or maybe no, sugar and salt. Maybe that's what I should say. I don't know. It's like complete night and day personality. But you know what? It's good, because here's the thing. When you're working together as a team, I think you bring different assets to the table. You know what I mean? Like you have different gifts, different strengths. And when you can really capitalize on those strengths, I think that's what is awesome. And the fact that you guys are a team together, what I love about that whole thing, being from the perspective of you guys understand what this entrepreneurship journey is. It's not like you've got one person over here and they're like, they have no idea what you're going through, because you're both in this space together. So you guys have really evolved. I mean, as a couple, from being young and being young parents to parenthood and marriage, and then even now entrepreneurship. And I think that's what I really admire, the tenacity and grit that you guys embody in that journey.
Well, thank you. It would definitely, I will say, like when I started, people would say, "Are you sure you want to work with your husband?" But actually, it's not bad like you think, because you can relate with them more. When you start working together, if you can do that, I feel like you can do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, everybody has their disagreements, but at the end of the day, we definitely have our strengths that benefit us. And I think it's great. I like working with my husband.
Yeah, no, that's good. So where do you see, like, because I know you guys are doing so many things. Where do you see this going? Like, what do you, I know Cameron mentioned you are moving into kind of the investment side of things, but from your perspective, I'd love to see where you see this all going.
I see this going, I want to stick with real estate like for pretty much forever. And of course, get tons of investment properties to where we run our team, and we're not really out in the field as much, but we are teaching others in our team to do great and to be successful. And I see him, writing books, talking on stages, and I may follow behind him if I decide to do that. I've thought about, I would love to have a course one day, and there's so many things we want to do, but we definitely want to grow our real estate business and have investments, passive income, where we can have even more freedom with our family to travel and just do all those great things.
I love it. No, that's fun to hear. I like you because like I said, you guys are so young. So I think it's fun to hear your perspective, because like we were talking about when I was talking to him, is that so many things, like you have no idea, like 5 years from now, what's going to happen, 10 years, like, where you're going. Right. But think about the people that are going to come into your life. And that's the stuff that excites me, is you just don't know who's going to come into your life. Like the paths that are going to be crossed and the relationships that are going to be built. I think that's the part that always excites me in this entrepreneur journey. So, and I love that you guys are all about, like, teaching what like helping others learn your success and what, and I think that's what it's all about. That's the legacy. That's the impact, that's where everything comes from.
Yeah, I think everybody should know though, like no matter how you come up, no matter what your background is, you can really do anything you want to do. No matter what your situation is, if you really want something, you can get it,
Yeah.
And if you have to reach out for help for other people, do it, because I know there's a lot of people that don't. I used to be like that. Don't want to reach out and bother anybody, but that's actually the best way to learn. Don't be afraid to learn stuff.
Yeah.
And reach out for help, and you'll grow doing that.
So awesome, Hannah. Well, if our audience wants to get in touch with you, because I think you're incredible and you got a great story, and I love your pizzazz and all the funness that goes with, I think. If our audience wants to get in touch with you, maybe, see what you're up to, follow you guys, where do we want to send them?
Send them to my Instagram. I need to post on there more, but do I just give you the username?
Yeah, you tell it to me, because I'll make sure we get some, when we get this out, I'll make sure we get some connections and stuff so they know how to find you.
It's Hannah Engler Official.
Okay.
No other things, just that. That's it.
Yeah, we'll make sure when this gets out, we'll get it connected. And then we can also put the main website in there too, so they know how to, because I know you guys are connected to the same thing. So very cool, Hannah. Well, I am excited for you. We'll have to keep in touch. I'm going to follow you on Instagram too, so I can keep up with all your greatness. And it'll be fun to follow you and see what you guys do. And then, 6 months from now, a year from now, and how this keeps growing and evolving. And I just want to say thank you for coming on here and chatting with us. I think there was a lot of great takeaways in here. And I just want to say congratulations to you and thank you.
Thank you for having me.
It's been fun. It's been fun. And to our audience, of course, if you enjoy our show, you can find this on whatever platform that you prefer to get your podcast. Hit that subscribe so we can keep sharing these incredible stories and offering this amazing content and helping you shine and grow. And with that, I'm going to say, you guys take care, be safe, be kind to one another. We'll see you next time.